Last episode, we built an awesome cinema, created a bunch of custom posters, and rammed it full of you folks' straw statues. And today we're going to flesh out more of this city block here, lay out some plans, and build a bookshop. For no reason other than the fact that I really want to build a bookshop. But that's the joy of Minecraft. You can do what you want. I have decided I'm still not ready to start tackling more farms yet. So the first thing we're going to do is the planning side of this. So I think the best thing for me to do is probably going to be to grab a bunch of wool from the Superfly shop, and then get to planning this area. So I think I can probably get a couple of buildings in here, maybe sort of one or two over on this side as well. I think the bookshop's going to go here. I think that seems to be the best place because it's quite a thin little sort of area here. But I reckon if we were to build a bookshop in this slot here, this should work quite nicely. Well, that should do for the bookshop. Now let's just spend a bit of time and I guess just try and lay out some other buildings. So maybe stick one here and another one here next to it, which I guess is going to be a corner one here. And I think what I might do is actually have an alleyway that kind of connects up to the bottom of that bit and just sort of weaves around the back of these buildings here. So we should probably leave a gap, maybe 3 blocks, and then maybe one more building here. I guess we kind of want to try and get it in line with that kind of area. And then I guess we're going to need some kind of funky shaped building on the corner here. Let's see what we can do. There we go. Maybe an absolutely giant sort of corner shaped building here. I think I've got an idea of what we could do with a building like this as well, but yeah, we won't cover that in this episode, because the chances are I'll change my mind before we get to it anyway. And now I guess we need to sort of continue this alleyway on. It'd be nice if it connected up over that way as well instead of blocking it off, so maybe let's put another building in here. And if we jump into free cam, we can see that from above, that looks pretty good. We've got, what, 7 buildings there? Yeah, 7 buildings, which isn't too bad. This one here isn't particularly big. That's the one we're actually going to be working on today. So we know where we're putting it. We know how big it's going to be. Now we have a problem. The same problem we always have. No resources. I really want to build this out of terracotta. I think I want to use some cyan terracotta, in fact. But yeah, for that, we're going to need to go back to the mesa and absolutely destroy loads of it again. Wow, I was very close to that building. That could have been painful. But as usual, there's a bunch of other things we're also going to need. So I guess it's time for another beardy montage.
You're joking. Not another one?
One montage later, and we should have everything we need now to make a start on this build. And as usual, I think we're just going to make a start on the ground floor, work out how we're going to do this. And I think I'm going to start by getting rid of a little bit of the wool here, and I might actually use this as a base foundation for this building, you know? And then we'll just build up a doorway in this area here. And then we'll stick a nice big window across the front here, maybe 2 wide on the columns. I think that should work, and that leaves us with plenty of space to put stuff out the front here as well if we want to. Let's get the doorway in. Maybe something like that, and then we'll get the door in. Let's just build up the back of these walls first. And I think at the front here, for the bit that goes in between the floors, I'm going to use a line of wool. Then we'll have some quartz slabs. And then let's quickly stick another row of the cyan on here, and I should probably go to bed before we get explodinated. And then we'll put some upside down stairs on here, and that should give us a lovely lip at the front here. And it should also be in keeping with the other buildings we've got in this area, because they all have a similar kind of style. Yeah, I think that's going to work nicely. Let's quickly get a floor chucked down in here. Hey, the floor is in. There's actually quite a lot of space in here, and I'm wondering what I might do. We've got an alleyway at the back here, haven't we? So should we put an entrance into the shop from here as well, maybe? And I guess what we can probably do on the inside here is maybe just lower the floor a little bit. And then chuck a few slabs down. I think that should work just fine. Just a sneaky little back entrance into the alleyway here. Now, let's chuck some windows in the front here. So, can we get away with alternating it? How wide is this? Well, it's even, so we can't do it how we usually would, but we can still give it a little bit of relief, I guess. Yeah, that works fine. And then, how about we maybe get ourselves a nice canopy on here as well? Yeah, I think that's working quite nicely. But what do we want to do for a door? Maybe we could try dark oak. We're probably going to need some trapdoors as well. I think that looks quite nice. That should work. And I think I'm just going to use the same at the back here as well. But it's all looking fairly basic for now, but I think that's a very good starting point. But I want to work out the next floor and what we're going to do with the windows and things. And to be honest, I do quite like what we've got going on here with these windows, so I might do something very similar. So I guess I'll just start placing a few blocks and we'll bring you back in once we've actually got something to look at. Well, I think that works a treat. It's a nice tiny little bookshop tucked in here, and once we get the other buildings in around, it's going to fit even nicer. But yeah, nice and simple, does the job. But now we need to sort out the front here, because this does not look good right now. So I think the first thing I want to do out the front here is create like a little table type thing, but this is obviously a half slab surface, so that is no good to us. So I wonder. I think I might change these steps a bit actually as well, just to put them out a little bit, give them a little bit more depth. I think that looks better. So let's get this table in, just an oak table should be fine. And as it's a bookshop, I think having some bookshelves should look quite good and make a lot of sense. I wonder, could we maybe get away with putting a lectern in one of these with a book on top, of course? Yeah, I think we could get this to work quite nicely. Let's get some more details in. How about a drain pipe of some kind? In fact, I wonder, could we put a cauldron here instead, maybe? Yeah, that might work a bit better. And we're going to need to connect it at the top as well, so we might have to remove that slab there. And then for the drain pipe, we'll just use some dark oak. And then we'll add a cherry sapling for a splash of colour. And I guess we should probably add a bunch of books into the shelves as well. So let's just spam some of these in. I'd say that's looking quite like a bookshop. The question is, how are we going to do the interior now? Let's start by maybe marking out some bookshelves, although I suppose I should probably get a floor in here as well first. And by floor, I of course mean ceiling, I guess, from this side. And we're going to do something a little bit different here. So if we jump up onto this ledge here, this is a little bit painful, but we'll get there. What I'm going to do for the ceiling here is actually use smithing tables, because the bottom of that, look at that, it's a very cool texture, and I think that's going to work really well for our bookshop here. Well, I don't know where the stairs are going to go yet, but the ceiling looks fancy. Look at that. So bookshelves, let's start over here, I guess, and just kind of work our way around. Well, I'm making some progress, but it's getting a little bit messy now. I think I need to start getting some bookshelves in so I can actually see where the separation is, because I'm also trying to make sure we've got space for a stairwell around the back here. When it comes to the bookshelves, I think what I'm actually going to do is put lecterns in front down the bottom, and we'll actually get some books in those as well. And then we'll just build the rest of the bookshelves out of the classic bookshelves. The new chiseled bookshelves, of course, we'll get some of those mixed in. And we'll also use some of the looms as well, because they look like different coloured empty shelves. And to be honest, they just break up the wall a bit. And if we load some books into a few of these here and there, and in fact, I think what I might actually do is push this bookshelf back a little bit and stick a lantern in there. Then if we get books on a couple of these, and I do wonder if maybe it needs to be broken up a little bit at the top. Could we get away with maybe, let's try this, sticking in a little shelf, and then maybe trying to make it look like there's sort of bundles of books, I guess, at the top here that are still boxed up, waiting to be put onto the shelves. But I think that's working quite well, so we're just going to extend this across over to the other shelves now. So that's those three in, and on this side here, what we're going to do is sort of turn around the corner here, and that way we should end up with a bookshelf on this side as well. Although I should be using the oak planks on the bottom, so we're not actually wasting bookshelves here. So I think that corner there is going to work quite well. We've got a whole bunch of books and bookshelves going on, and we've got space around here to actually put in some stairs to upstairs, which is going to be very useful indeed. So let's just work out these back shelves here. Well, I think it's working quite well so far, but the middle's looking a little bit empty. And, well, being a bookshop, I think I want it to actually look really quite cramped. So, what I might do is actually jam in some more shelves, maybe here. And in theory, this shelf here should be able to actually share the bookshelves on both sides. Looking good so far. I think that's just the right amount of cramped, although we should probably get some kind of a counter in here. There we go, something nice and simple, but I think that works as a little counter. Now let's sort out the window area, and to be honest, I want this to look quite cluttered, so when you're looking in from outside, you just see a whole bunch of bookshelves and books and things stacked up in the window. I think that's going to work nicely for us. Maybe we should stick another lectern in as well, and this should do the trick just nicely if we get a few books in these shelves here. And from outside, is that looking nice and busy in there? Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. So I just need to spam a few more of these books about on these shelves here. And for the most part, we're almost done, but there's one more thing I want to do. And for that, I'm going to need a whole bunch of strip logs and some iron chains. We should be able to get some hanging signs. Excellent. And what I'm thinking is we can use these to sort of mark out the different areas of the shop. So, for example, science fiction, and then we could have, I don't know, horror. We can have fantasy, some true crime, of course. And just a thought, these are double-sided, so we can actually get all this on the back as well. Which was this one? Horror. We'll have biographies. We'll have some historical fiction and some children's books. Yeah, that's awesome. That really brings it together. I like that. So that's actually come together nice and quickly for us, and I'm very pleased with it. The bookshelves and, well, the different varieties of bookshelves we have now, they really do help make a difference to a shop like this. But a couple more things we need to do, one of which is to put in a staircase. So we now have a stairway that goes up to the top there, although we should probably indicate that this is staff only. There we go, and we'll put a nice storeroom at the top there, I think. And in fact, I think I'm going to put a nice window in here as well, just so we can look out onto the grimy alleyway as we go past upstairs. Beautiful. And with that, I think the downstairs, at least, is completely finished. I think it's looking good. We've got lots and lots of books. It's all well signed. Awesome. Although I think I might mix in just a couple of trapdoors here, just to break up the floor a little bit. Awesome, looking good. Now to figure out what we're going to do up here. So I think I only want to have this floor here that's kind of attached to the shop, and we're actually going to make a different way in to get to the upper floors, which I think is just going to be office space in this building. But the first thing I need to do is to get a floor in, so let's do that first. And this is where the white concrete we grabbed earlier is going to come in handy. So that's the white ceiling in, and now this is going to be our storeroom. I guess we're just going to jam it full of stuff, right? And there we go. I think that should just about do the trick. We don't need it to be too complicated. We just need it to look busy with books and boxes. And I think we've pulled that off. And it's looking pretty good from outside as well, which is nice. And with that, I think the bookshop part of this building is now complete. However, we do still have a bunch more floors at the top there. We've got another sort of 4 or 5 floors. And that's where I'm going to put the entrance into these floors. And the plan is going to be to extend this building out a little bit and put in a stairwell. But I need more of the cyan terracotta. Thanks to our digging earlier, we have a buttload of terracotta. I just need to dye it. And when it comes to making cyan dye, it turns out you can actually get it from picture plants, which is amazing because I don't really have a lot of lapis, which is how I was getting the blue dye to mix with the cactus to get the cyan dye. But thanks to our sniffer farm, we've now got it on tap, which is marvelous. So for this tower, I think it's probably going to make sense to build up something to actually build inside, and then start from the top and work our way down and see where we end up. And then that's probably going to decide where we put the door. But at least the first bit's nice and easy. Placing blocks in a line. So this is how you're going to get into the office space. Let's just start bridging some stairs down. Okay, and that seems to have brought us down to the bottom here, which means the door is probably going to have to go here, I guess. And that window looks weird now. Let's move it over by a block. And I think we'll just put a column of the cyan in the middle here as well to make this corridor really horrible to walk through, but it will at least be safe, I guess. Yep, I think this stairwell is very depressing. Ideal for office space. Maybe we should get some windows in the side here, though. And let's quickly spawn-proof the roof as well. Marvellous. Although we do need to sort out the rest of the alleyway and get a door in and whatnot. But I think first I want to sort out the actual interior of these office spaces. So the plan is to keep this office space quite simple. I probably will actually leave it as vacant office space. I don't think I'm going to put all the desks and things in here. But I do like the idea of having it look like it's all big and open and ready to receive some desks. What can I say? It's only just about to get refurbished. People aren't going to move in straight away. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. So let's get some stairs in here that will take us up to the second level. And let's get the floor in as well. And I think I want to make it look like a fancy modern office. So maybe we'll use some glass for the wall separators here. And we'll just get some lighting in as well using the trapdoor trick with the end rods. And there we go. Some lovely, wonderful office space. And to be honest, I think I'm just going to duplicate this on the floors as we go up. So this is going to be very very straightforward and probably even really boring for a time lapse. So I'm just going to quickly get this done and then bring you back in. And I think we're about done. We have 4 floors of offices now, all ready to let. And from outside, I think just putting in those little bits of detail on the offices does make the building look a little bit more alive. But I think what I want to do now is maybe sort out the alleyways that are going around the back here, because that's really going to tie up the last little bit of this building, and then we can just get some details and things on the side, like all the aircon and all those little tiny bits that really help make it look like it's actually being used. Apart from the offices at the top, because they're not going to be used at all.
'Cause you're lazy.
We're done, and I'm particularly pleased with how this has come out. So I've sorted out the exterior of the building here as well. We've also got some blinds on some of the windows, which I think looks quite cool and adds a lot more sort of detail to the building itself. And all the little bits of flowers and foliage are always nice too. Adds a splash of colour. Out the front here, we've got some of the straw statues, and round the side, we've got one of these air conditioner type unit things. I've got the alleyway in all down the side. I don't know what we're going to do over there yet, but we'll figure that out later. We could even have a tunnel maybe that sort of connects up to the front, but we'll solve that another day. We've got more straw statues out the back here as well. Could be my twin. As well as a little bit more life in the bookshop itself, and I'm just really pleased with how all this has come out. It's just a nice dingy little bookshop. Exactly what I was after. Well, I'd say that was a job well done, and it's really nice to see the city expanding as well. I can't wait to get some buildings on this side, because that's just really going to pull the whole street together. It's going to look awesome. And we need to sort out this pedestrianised area bit here as well. It's a bit empty, isn't it? But we'll have to save all that for another episode, because sadly that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.